In Fairfax, Virginia, movie star Johnny Depp says his ex, Amber Heard, ruined his career when she falsely accused him of domestic abuse. Now, this week, Johnny Depp expected to take the stand to tell his story.
I tried to close the door 3 times, please, please.
What will he say about the violent incident in Australia where he severed his finger?
Part of his finger was missing. And I can't recall specifics other than they had a fight.
And what will he say about his alcohol and drug issues?
About how many times would you estimate you've seen Mr. Depp use cocaine?
20 times?
Tonight, all the big moments and all the big issues as we take you in depth for the latest in Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. Great to have you here on Closing Arguments. Buckle your seatbelts tomorrow. Johnny Depp on the stand. That's what we're hearing on the ground out in Fairfax County, Virginia. Chanley Painter reporting tonight. Johnny Depp expected to take the stand tomorrow to begin to tell the jury his story. And when I say jury, I mean, yeah, the jury inside the courtroom, obviously, but also the jury of public opinion and the jury of Hollywood executives. Johnny Depp filing this lawsuit, yeah, sure, if he wins, he'll take the money. But it's about clearing his name so he can do those big blockbusters again and not be on some list of canceled celebrities, which is where he claims he is now because of Amber Heard. Those are his allegations, that she lied about him abusing her, so he's suing her for defamation. On the other side, there are counterclaims against Johnny Depp by Amber Heard. She says that he's lying when he's calling her a liar and that he is ruining her career. So she's counterclaimed for a lot of money. Might be easier for her to collect from him than him from her, but we'll see. The jury will figure it all out. But as I said, the headline tonight, Johnny Depp testifying tomorrow. And I want to start with, when someone takes the stand, a jury is listening to them, but they're also watching them. Johnny Depp, I mean, this is the biggest part of the case, the biggest part of the trial. He's got to make sure that this jury believes him to have a chance at winning. And it begins with how he presents himself. And he's appeared quite differently inside the courtroom in 4 days of this trial. Take a look up on the screen and you'll see exactly what I am talking about. April 12th, okay, he's got glasses. He's put together pretty well. You move to the 13th, becomes a little bit looser. By the 14th, everyone was talking like, what's wrong with Johnny Depp on the 14th? Then he shows up today, almost looking like a completely different person, hair tied back. He had the glasses on for a while, took them off for a while. But what is the best look for Johnny Depp on the witness stand? To sell his story. That's what you have to do as a witness. Doesn't mean you're making it up, but they still have to believe it, which means you've got to sell it. Let me bring in the think tank, because this whole think tank, when they have a trial, they want to control every little detail of that case, including how their clients look. Joining us tonight in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Al Wunsch III. In Stamford, Connecticut, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland. And in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. Great to see everyone tonight. Al, I'll begin with you. I'm going to put them up on the screen. You've got 4 choices. Which of these 4 looks for Johnny Depp do you think gives him the best chance to sell his story to the jury?
I like the hair tied back, the April 18th look, the look today.
Why is that?
I think that gives, well, it gives, one, it takes the hair away from his face. It gives him a chance to make expressions, and he doesn't look like kind of a mad professor. He's got that Professor Irwin Corey hair on the 13th and the 14th. But at this point, he looks like, he looks dapper. He's got that school marm look, okay? It's coming across as being professional, that he has respect for the proceedings. And taking that hair out of his face is probably the best thing that can happen. I mean, he's a good-looking guy, and he's an expressive guy. This is going to give the jury a clear look at his expressions and his ability to speak and give his testimony. It's going to be definitely the best way to go in this type of thing.
Darnell Crossland, your thoughts?
I disagree 100% with Al. I know you're going to like that, Vinny. If you put up the pictures and look at April 18th, Exhibit A, look at the gentleman sitting to his right. That gentleman is used to wearing suits. He looks comfortable in a suit. I always tell my clients in these murder case, drug cases, if you don't wear a suit normally, don't start now. I always have them wear a polo with a button the top collar. Look how you naturally would normally look. Depp looks like a drunk who just put a suit on, and it fits the whole narrative of what Amber is saying about him. He should have wore something more cool, more chic. Amber, on the other hand, she's killing it the way she's looking so natural and so stylish. So don't come into a suit like a lot of rappers. If you look at 100 Center Street, where Puff Daddy and all these rappers go when they get these charges, all of them come in with suits. The cuffs are dragging, the bottom is dragging to the floor, they're sagging. They don't look natural. They look like they just threw it on. And as soon as they come out the courthouse, they throw their fitted cap on, a Yankee hat or something, because that suit is not them. So I always dress my clients up with a khaki pair of pants or maybe, a button-down shirt but no tie, and have them look to the jury natural and elegant.
Jennifer Brandt.
Vinny, I think the look from today is the look that he needs to go with. I disagree with Darnell. I agree with Al. He looks very professional here. He looks like he takes these proceedings seriously on the 18th. He certainly doesn't want to come in like he looked on the 14th, because there he looked pretty tired, like maybe he was out partying the night before or something, but he didn't look like he was really into these proceedings. The look today, on the other hand, he looks serious. He looks like someone who's ready to testify. I disagree with Darnell. I think that you want your client to dress up. You want your client to take the matter seriously and look like he's going to court, and not that he's going to a party or going out for the day or whatever. You want him to take this seriously, and you want to show the jury that he's taking it seriously. So the look from today is the look to go. Oh no,
I just won seven. I just won 7 trials in a row, Vinny. They got to take it from the guy who won 7. I'm on 7 jury trials in a row.
He's on a hot streak.
You're
on a hot streak, Al.
Well, Vinny, okay, first of all, you know what I feel about guys that walk around with their batting averages, okay? Don't like it, okay? Don't like it at all. For a guy who's in the Hall of Fame for football and baseball at Don Bosco High School, I didn't keep my batting average in front of me. I didn't even know what my batting average was, but it must have been pretty good. I'm in the Hall of Fame. So that's all you have to say. You don't start bragging.
They're both bragging. Let's just get down to Johnny Depp. And Johnny Depp needs to come in looking professional. I'm the family lawyer here. I'm the one that sees men and women in court like this. And you don't want him to come in his street clothes. You want him to come in a suit and look professional, and his hair back. He looks like he's going to be serious, and he's going to tell his story and convey to the jury, what he has to say. So
okay,
we agree on that.
Let's get to some of the testimony now, because one of the big issues, Johnny Depp is not just saying that he did not commit domestic violence. He is saying he is a victim of domestic violence. The most violent incident in this case, whether you believe Amber Heard or Johnny Depp, occurred down in Australia. Part of the story was that Johnny Depp's finger was severed. Let's listen to some of the testimony about that.
You will not see a single photograph of the vast majority of the abuse alleged by Ms. Heard. Not one. And there is not a single photograph or video showing Mr. Depp becoming physically violent towards Ms. Heard. The only medical report of an injury during their relationship was a severe one, and it was sustained by Mr. Depp. After an argument, shortly after their marriage, while the couple was in Australia, she berated him, and when he tried to leave, she became violent. She became so violent, in fact, she threw a vodka bottle at him that hit his hand and exploded. It severed the end of one of his fingers.
In March 2015, you traveled down to Australia to attend to Mr. Depp, is that right?
Yes.
After you attended to Mr. Depp and before you went to the hospital with him, did you go inside the house?
I went into the home. to see the home. I went in to instruct one of the people with him to look for the tip of the finger, hoping that we would be able to put it back.
Was the tip of the finger found?
It was found.
Who found it?
I believe this man was their chef.
And do you know where he found it or where he told you he found it?
He said he found it in the kitchen area.
Did you observe any broken glass in the house?
Yes.
Did you tell what the glass was from?
No.
Was there blood around the broken glass?
There was blood around the home, as I had previously mentioned, but I didn't specifically see blood on glass.
Where did you see the broken glass?
In the kitchen area.
And that's where the finger, part of the finger was found as well?
Yes.
Do you recall going to Mr. Depp's house after learning that he had cut his finger?
Yes.
What do you recall about that?
That we went to the house and I don't even think I went in at first. Dr. Kipper went in and he had cut his finger and we took him to the emergency room.
Do you have any understanding as to how Mr. Depp cut his finger?
I heard different stories from people.
What were the different stories you heard?
I had heard that Amber threw a bottle of vodka at him. I had heard that he slammed it with a phone.
How important is this story, and how important is Johnny Depp's testimony about what happened to his finger, Darnell?
First of all, maybe it's just a different view on how they look at this. So this nurse just testified about what she heard. And you know what the first thing comes to your mind when you hear about what someone heard. They have to have some hearsay exceptions. But nonetheless, when you listen to what she heard and what she testified to, they're conflicting stories. One, maybe he got hit with a vodka bottle. The other, maybe he cut his finger off when he slammed his phone. I think it's going to be very important for Johnny to clarify that because it's coming directly from him. Whether you believe it or not, people appreciate when the testimony comes directly from the source, not from these conflicting testimonies. His doctor, Kirk, I believe, he didn't give anything that I could hang my hat on either. He didn't see much of value. He only treated a patient after the fact. So I think it's going to be very important for Johnny to come in and clarify that.
Jennifer Brandt, your thoughts about the severed finger. This, you talk about a volatile relationship, domestic violence. This happened. We know it happened. The finger was found in the kitchen. How important is it for Johnny Depp to be able to convince the jury, convince the public that he was the victim in that situation?
I think this is critical for him because this is the most serious injury that we have, and he wants to be able to convey that it was at Amber's hands that he lost his finger. And I think the problem that he's going to have, though, is that I think he told other people that he never told anybody right away that this is what happened. So he has to sort of figure out how he's going to deal with that issue as well. Is he going to say, oh, he was just trying to protect her or what? But I think he has some explaining to do as to why he didn't come forward initially and say that it was, at her, that she threw the vodka bottle and that's how he cut off his finger. So, it's a little bit strange for him to come in now and say that this was the cause. So we'll hear. And also, I mean, it sounds like it was chaotic time. So does he have the recall for exactly what happened? And will all his, the whole story be consistent? That's something else that we'll have to hear about tomorrow.
Al, let's take a listen to Amber Heard's perspective and version of what happened down in Australia with Johnny Depp's finger.
Now, he did cut off his finger, but the evidence will show my client did not do it. You'll also see pictures of what Mr. Depp did after he cut off his finger, when he dipped it in blood and paint and wrote graffiti all around the house.
No, there was a text message where you got a text message from Mr. Depp.
Yes.
And he said he cut his finger, correct?
I think that's what it said, yes.
Okay. And the reference from the emergency room said that Mr. Depp had sliced his finger with a knife, correct?
Yes, that's what he told, because I was present for that. That's what he told the emergency room doctor.
Al Wunsch, how is Johnny Depp going to be able to convince the jury that Amber Heard was responsible for severing his finger?
He will not get the Fickle Finger of Fate award on this one, Vin. There is no way that that story holds any vodka and or water whatsoever. You throw a bottle at someone and it cuts a finger. How did it break against a finger? If it was thrown against his head, that might be something. Thrown against his hand, maybe that's something. But thrown and it cuts a finger. Whereas her version is that he slammed the phone, okay, into the bottle, okay, and then that's what cut. That makes a lot more sense to me than someone flinging a bottle of vodka and it hits only my finger and it severs my finger. If he had said that, you know, it smashed against the wall and then I started picking up the glass and I cut myself, okay, that's still an act of domestic violence on her part because she threw the bottle at him. The fact that it missed doesn't mean it's any less domestic violence. It still is, and that would have been at least a lot more plausible than I got hit by the bottle of vodka. Okay, it makes no sense. I don't know how he's going to explain it, and it's going to have to take some tremendous acting chops to be able to get that one by this jury.
Okay, that's one of the issues Johnny Depp obviously will be dealing with on the stand tomorrow. Another one he's going to have to deal with is his drug and alcohol use, what impact it has on his memory, what impact it has on this case and on the jury. We'll talk about that next.
Did you ever reach your own conclusion that your brother had a problem with drugs and alcohol?
I knew my brother was drinking.
I'm sorry.
I knew my brother was drinking. But in terms of like drugs, you know, honestly, I had only one medication that I really knew of that, you know, was an issue for him.
And what was that?
I don't remember the name of the medication. It was a prescription medication.
What was it?
It was like a pain medication that he had been taking for a long time.
Okay, so that's Johnny Depp's sister, and seemingly underselling the issue of her brother's alcohol and drug use. So you can understand it. It's his sister, you know, and maybe it's what he exposed to her. I don't know. But a little bit of a different picture painted in court today from Johnny Depp's private nurse, his head of security. We heard from his doctor as well. Let's take a listen to some of that testimony.
And on August 9th, 2014, it says patient expressed fears of never feeling normal without his drugs. You wrote that?
Yes.
Okay. And is that something that Mr. Depp told you?
According to my notes, yes.
Over the course of your employment with Mr. Depp, have you seen him consume alcohol?
I have.
How frequently?
It ranged. Sometimes I wouldn't see him drink at all, and there'd be other times he, you know, would have a glass of wine or two.
And based on your observations, how would you describe Mr. Depp's demeanor after drinking alcohol?
His demeanor is the same as if you were talking to him. I would joke around with some of the other security personnel. He's, you know, my terminology would be he's kind of too cool for school. He goes into that kind of Jack Sparrow mode, and he just, you know, he's very likable, you know, whether he drinks or he doesn't drink.
Okay, so how does this all play out in court? Because remember, in the trial in the UK, the drug and alcohol use really was a huge focus of Johnny Depp's adversaries, basically painting a picture that when he's drinking, he's under the influence, he doesn't remember what happened. And remember, Amber Heard's talking about a 3-day blackout down in Australia. What will he remember about what happened down in Australia? Let's bring in our think tank. Still with us, criminal defense attorney Al Wunsch, Darnell Crossland, family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. Let me ask you, Jennifer, I'll start with you. The drugs, the alcohol, it seems like it's part of the issues that he's dealing with. That seemed very clear inside the courtroom. But then how does that affect everything that he testifies to? What if he can't remember things? What if he can't recall things because of the drugs and alcohol? Is that a huge problem? Because Amber Heard, I'm sure, and her testimony will fill in those blanks.
That's right. And, you know, it's a typical he said, she said, because there weren't a lot of other witnesses present at these times when they were together, when they were locked in together, when they were fighting. So there may not have been a lot of other people around to corroborate either side's story. And it's just a question of credibility. You know, has Johnny been blacked out other times? Are there instances where he doesn't remember other things? So I think that it's really important to establish that Johnny is clear-headed, that he, you know, for him to establish that he's clear-headed and that he does remember everything and he wasn't under the influence of drugs or anything else that would prevent him from, you know, knowing what went on. And Amber's going to come in because she wasn't on drugs allegedly at the time, so she's going to come in remembering everything and telling her version of the story, and it's going to be a question of credibility for the jury, for sure.
Darnell, how do you see this playing out? With you know, in the UK, this became the Achilles heel for Johnny Depp in his lawsuit against The Sun, was that he was relentlessly attacked for drug and alcohol use when he was on the stand, and relentlessly attacked because of his memory and what he could and could not remember about what happened.
Well, here it comes, Vinnie. I agree with Jennifer Brandt on this one.
Wow, it's a milestone.
Credibility is everything. And the first thing we attack when you get the so-called eyewitness that sees something from her window is, do you wear glasses? And that goes towards credibility. In this particular case, look at Depp's diagnosis: bipolar disorder, chronic substance abuse disorder, ADHD, depression, insomnia, and chronic reflux. That all goes to his credibility. And not that he's a bad person, but which Depp are we talking about? So we're not going to have eyewitnesses, as Attorney Brandt said, but we are going to be able to bring in what's been coming in, which is all this diagnosis. And so a jury's going to have to say, well, it's hard to believe him. We don't know which one is he. He has bipolar disorder, and he has all this chronic substance abuse disorder. So that's going to go directly towards credibility. And no matter how nice of a guy he is, we can't dismiss that.
Al, I think he has to remember more than he remembered at the UK trial. I mean, I don't think he can testify that I don't remember what happened, because I think what will happen in the courtroom is Amber Heard will fill in all those blanks.
Well, you know, a wise man once said about a drunk's testimony that it's 20% recollection and 80 proof. And that's what we've got here, is a gentleman who's got some serious alcohol issues. Remember, this is the man who owned the Viper Club, okay? The Viper Club was just known for its debauchery. It's a place where River Phoenix OD'd in front of the place after getting extremely high in the Viper Room. It was a place that all of the hard rock bands were playing, punk bands were playing, things along those lines. That Johnny Depp stood trial for a situation with regards to taking money from the club. And then the star witness in that trial disappeared mysteriously. So, you know, this is a guy who's learned how to party hard. He had a $30,000 a month habit on wine. I mean, that's just extraordinary. I mean, believe me, don't get me wrong, I am truly impressed. But, you know, $30,000 a month in wine? So what are you going to do when you have a guy like this on the stand? He's going to have to talk about some of the problems he has recollecting, because if he doesn't, he's not going to come across as credible. And he's going to have to make the admission of the problems that he has, because his doctors and his nurses and his sister and his bodyguard have already laid that groundwork. He can't get up there and say they're all wrong. It would be foolish for him to do that. He'll have to say, listen, I have a problem. I'm trying to get through it. And he was in rehab, and then what did he decide to do? He ran out and hang out with Marilyn Manson. So, you know, these are the perfect things that you need for a guy who's going to get up there and try to sway a jury. He's got a lot of baggage, and he's going to have to unpack it very carefully if he wants this jury to believe him.
Jennifer, I think about, you know, where we are in society right now, and I don't think people necessarily automatically condemn someone because they have an addiction to whether it's alcohol, drugs, or anything else. So from that perspective, I don't think the jury will dislike Johnny Depp because of what he was doing. To me, the whole key is, what exactly can he remember? How specific can his testimony be? How sharp will his recollection be?
Right, I agree with you, Vinny. I think that society is very forgiving for people that have problems. I mean, there are a lot of people that have drug addiction and alcohol addiction, and it's rampant. It really, really is. So I think they're not going to hold it against him necessarily. And I agree that he is going to need to recall a lot of things and a lot more than he did in the UK. But don't forget, he's Johnny Depp, and I think he's going to get a lot of leeway from who he is, what he is. He's an actor. You know, actors are known sometimes to have a good time, party, and he's beloved. I mean, people think he's a great actor. They really admire him. You got a lot of young men on the jury who probably are fans of his, and I think he's going to get a lot of leeway in his testimony. I think people are going to give him a lot of breaks that maybe other people wouldn't get necessarily, and I don't think it's going to be as hard as we're all making it out to be. I think it's going to be a lot easier here for him to sort of get away with things and take what he learned from the UK trial and make it better this time around. So, you know, he's getting a second chance here.
He's been through this. It wasn't like a mock trial. No, it was a real trial with real cross-examination that lasted hours and hours and hours. So he's clearly prepared for that moment. Darnell, I'll give you the final word for this segment on Johnny Depp tomorrow on that witness stand, telling his story. I would expect him to have those sort of charming moments, those very human moments where he tries to, or it may just come natural to him, make a connection with those jurors.
Well, here's the thing about, I've been watching this case and studying this case. Typically, say like in the OJ case, where OJ won in the criminal case but lost in the civil case, that wasn't about defamation. That was about the harm to a person. So now you have to ask yourself, when he's trying to connect with these people, as you say, is he connecting saying, give me $50 million because my career went down the toilet? Or is he saying, give me money because I was abused? So you're going to have to figure out what your message is, because if you don't know what you're asking for, the jury don't know how to feel sorry for you. And so that's really the challenge. What are you asking these people for? And how are they going to empathize with you asking for $50 million when you spent, as Al said, $30,000 a month on wine? And so I think that's going to be the challenge.
Absolutely. Okay. When we come back, we're going to talk about what I think may be the central issue in this whole case. What if this jury believes that it was mutual violence, that they were going after each other? It wasn't like one person was abusing the other person was just the victim of that abuse, but it was back and forth. You know, Amber Heard hitting him, her hitting her. What does that mean in this case? Our think tank will let us know. We'll be right back.
Did you witness abuse by either?
I didn't witness.
Had you worked with Mr. Depp before working with Amber and Mr. Depp?
No.
Is it your testimony that while Mr. Depp may have said he wasn't violent with any of his other partners, there was violence from Mr. Depp toward Amber, correct?
Yes, you're right. he had been well controlled, I think, for almost, I don't know, 20, 30 years. And both were victims of abuse in their homes. But I thought he had been well controlled for decades. And then with Ms. Heard, he was triggered, and they engaged in what I saw as mutual abuse. Sometimes, I know she led on more than one occasion and started it to keep him with her, because abandonment and having him leave was her worst nightmare. And I think he may have initiated it on occasions too, that I'm less sure on.
This is a big issue, I think, in this case. Mutual abuse. That's their marriage counselor giving her analysis, her opinion of what was going on. And she said mutual abuse sometimes initiated by Amber Heard. A little less sure, but thinks probably sometimes initiated by Johnny Depp. Now, let me remind you what Amber Heard has said publicly. First, let me show you what she said over in the UK outside the courthouse at the first trial.
It has been incredibly painful to relive the breakup of my relationship, to have my motives, my truth questioned, and the most traumatic and intimate details of my life with Johnny shared in court and broadcast to the entire world.
Okay, now I want to also play for you. This is from the opening statement. Her attorney reading part of the Washington Post op-ed, which is the subject of this defamation suit. It was 6 minutes in length. Here's a small piece of it.
Like many women, I had been harassed and sexually assaulted by the time I was of college age, but I kept quiet. I did not expect filing complaints to bring justice, and I didn't see myself as a victim. Then, 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out.
All right, let me bring back in the think tank, because I think this is probably the most important question, at least so far in this case. If this jury believes their marriage counselor that this was mutual abuse initiated by Amber Heard and maybe initiated by Johnny Depp, is she a domestic violence victim? Is she being truthful when getting out there and making these statements about being a domestic abuse victim? If it's back and forth and mutual and initiated by her? Al?
Ben, you never hit a woman, first point, okay, never. So, you know, Johnny Depp could have gotten out of the house and left. If this is the type of person she is, he understands that, then he leaves, okay? You know, this verdict is looking like it could be a mutually assured destruction, as we used to call in the old days with the Soviet Union.
Let's get back to the question now. This is a very specific question, okay? Is she a victim? If this is mutual abuse, if it's just two people who are wrong for each other, and she initiates the confrontations.
Well, you know, she's a water sign, he's an earth sign, together they make mud. Okay, that's what we have here. And under those circumstances, they are both victims. And that's what this jury is going to probably come down and say. Neither one has proven or disproven the case. They have both been guilty of some form of abuse. And therefore, okay, we're going to cut it down
I got
the
an
middle
answer from you.
and
Look at
walk
that.
away.
I got the answer, because this is a very specific question, Darnell. Is she a victim? If this jury believes what the marriage counselor testified to, which was mutual abuse initiated by Amber Heard, maybe sometimes initiated by Johnny Depp, not sure about that. Those are her words, her testimony, her evidence.
I'm gonna have to be a lawyer here, Vinny. Let's get right back to the issue.
Sounds to me like you're not gonna answer the question if you're gonna be a lawyer.
Well, I'm a different kind of
He's
lawyer.
not agreeing with me either.
She's definitely a victim. She's definitely a victim. She's a victim 100%. He's a victim. But as a lawyer, we have to focus on why we're in court. This is a defamation lawsuit. So what we're doing is wondering about how much of a victim is her, is she, how much of a victim is he. we're losing the issue, which is defamation. And I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. He loses this case because the jury is not going to believe her or him. They're going to believe the people who testified, such as Kipper and the therapist. And you got to realize something that's noteworthy. Some of these people that were called to testify, Kipper was a defense witness. And so the witnesses, I think, are very credible because they're really not beholden to one side or the other. They're just telling the truth. And if you believe the therapist that Amber was a trigger for Johnny, and you disbelieve Amber's little speech she gave, I feel so bad that the whole world is going to know about all the stuff in our relationship. Boo, boo, boo. She wrote about it in the Washington Post. Now she's upset or she's angry that the whole world's going to know about it. You wrote about it. So once you once you separate those two and listen to the witnesses down the middle, you're going to find that there cannot be defamation, because if it's her truth and truth is a defense, it doesn't matter how much she gives out. It matters if it's her truth and we got testimony supporting that he abused her. It doesn't matter how much he abused her. It's her truth and she could talk about it. That's what this lawsuit's about.
Let me ask you, Jennifer Brandt, how do we define a victim of domestic violence? If it's a relationship where it's back and forth, it's mutual, they're verbally and maybe physically abusing one another, she's initiating, he may initiate sometimes. Do we consider them both victims? Do we consider them both perpetrators? Like, how do we deal with that? And is she being truthful when she comes out as a victim under circumstances where it's back and forth?
Yeah, well, there's a lot here that you want me to unpack, Vinny, but I'll just say this.
Yeah, I always give you the hardest ones, the hardest questions.
I know. I have to deal with these two, giving their opinion, then I have to wrap it up for them. That's what I have to do. But here's the bottom line, Vinny. No one should hit anyone in a relationship. That's number one. But, if she's claiming she's a victim, domestic violence, I don't think so. She was provoking him. He's provoking her. This was a bad mix. But I think the main thing that's going to come out of this, even if neither one of them gets the money that they think they deserve or that they're asking for, his reputation may be saved as a result of this trial. Because if it does come out, and if you do believe that marriage therapist, that she was provoking him, she was an instigator, she wasn't so innocent, he wasn't just, beating up on her and he's a terrible guy, his reputation was harmed, he says, because of all of what she said, that she was an abused woman. If she's not so innocent in all of this, and that's what comes out of this trial, I think he gets his credit, his career gets back. People may want to hire him again. He is not such the bad guy that she's making him out to be. People will say this was a toxic mix. They're both bad. They both didn't belong together from the outset, and let them go on their way. And, maybe we'll hire him again for a different part. Maybe he'll, be back on the movie screen again.
All right.
And that's what I think he wants. That's what I think
that's absolutely what he wants. I don't.
And that's not going to happen.
Okay. Al says it's not going to happen.
It's going to happen.
He's ended up shooting himself in the foot. He's made it worse for himself because he brought this out. There's
I don't think
good
so,
that
Al.
comes
I don't
from
think
this.
he had a choice. I don't think he had a choice. His reputation was going to be damaged. He's damaged goods unless he fought back. And I think what's coming out of this trial is going to help him, not hurt him.
Okay, well, we come back.
Trials never work for the actor. They never do.
13th juror, your verdict. What one question do you want to ask Johnny Depp? Okay, Johnny Depp set to take the stand tomorrow inside the courtroom. And I asked you if you had an opportunity to ask him one question. What is that one question? We begin with our 13th juror comment of the day from Lucy tonight. I'd ask if he is in recovery now, and if so, how long has he been substance-free? The follow-up question I would ask is if he's receiving counseling with a qualified professional. Al Wunsch, do you think that's a question his attorney should ask him tomorrow?
Well, he's got to come across, he's got to, like the old Don Rickles, I'm a nice guy, okay? And part of it is recognizing that he's made a mistake in his life. and that he's trying to correct himself and he's trying to be a better citizen. That's the key thing in this. I just want to correct one thing. It was the Viper Room, not the Viper Club. Vinnie.
Gotcha.
I know you would have called
Viper Room.
I know you would have called me on that one. And,
yeah, it would have brought your batting average down at least like 10 points.
It would have been like the 17-0 in the small claims court that
exactly.
Darnell has.
Oh no, Darnell has murder cases. Darnell Crossland, here's my one question. Here's my one question for Johnny Depp tomorrow, and that is, Darnell, Johnny Depp, do you wear the same glasses as Darnell Crossland? I'm looking at those glasses. They look awfully familiar. I know you wear expensive glasses. Johnny Depp, I presume. What kind of glasses you wearing tonight, Darnell?
I got these at the Viper Room.
You did? Beautiful.
Yeah, these are Viper frames.
All right, but you both look good. You both look good. Tina, tonight, why did you tell the emergency room doctors and your doctor that you cut your finger? That's an important question, isn't it, Darnell?
I do. It goes back to, I'm going to agree with Jennifer Brandt earlier. Why did you lie then? If you lied then, are you lying now? Why didn't you tell the truth from the beginning? Were you trying to cover up something that you did to yourself or that Amber did to you? Either way, you lied. And so I think that's a very important question.
All right, here's from Star. You ready, Jennifer? Star asking, Johnny Depp, do you regret ever meeting her because it's messing with his life and career? Jennifer Brandt, if I had to take the temperature of our viewers, they are clearly have a fever for Johnny Depp. They've got Johnny fever.
Oh, that's for sure. No, I don't think that's a question that's a question that he's asking himself for sure. I don't know if it's a question that his lawyer needs to ask him or that's something that needs to come out. We're way past that.
I think it might be objectionable. This is from Cynthia.
I just want to say,
go ahead.
Vinnie, you have to. Darnell looks good in his suit. You know, that's one thing. He and Johnny. Johnny may not look so good in his suit, but Darnell does. He looks comfortable wearing that suit.
Look at that. Everyone's getting along. It just took an hour. Jennifer Brandt, Darnell Crossland, Al Wunsch, great as always. Thank you so much. We'll see you again really soon. We've got something else to take care of when we come back. Don't forget, Johnny Depp tomorrow morning. Turn it on. Coverage all day long. Our cameras, our microphones inside the courtroom.